The one thing that you're a Warframe player, so you might get this. The one thing that I've loved about this game the most, and what like, I don't even care how long these grinds take and stuff, but what I've loved about this game the most, and I say it probably every damn stream, so people that have been here for a minute probably tired of hearing it, but no weeklies and no dailies. And it feels amazing. And I don't have live service fatigue from this game as well. And what I mean by live service fatigue isn't a game that's being constantly updated. That's not what live service fatigue is for me. And I think a lot of people would agree that's not what creates live service fatigue. Live service fatigue is the feeling of your kit being irrelevant. Like at some, like it just all of a sudden becomes extremely irrelevant and you feel like you have to do all this other stuff to catch up. And that doesn't like just go, yeah, exactly, like power creep. You know, and like power creep is okay to an extent, but when it shatters your entire setup to the point to where you're like, there's nothing to you anymore, and that happens over and over and over again, and you just feel like you can never get to a point of actually being able to be comfortable in the game because you just want to be casual, it gets extremely fatiguing because you feel like you have to dedicate so much of your time in order to stay relevant to everything going on around you. Otherwise, you're just spending all your time trying to catch up to do whatever is currently out. And I even feel like Warframe was getting to that point, which was a really weird thing. I've played Warframe for 8 years, 9 years, and it never had felt like that. But it was getting really bad. Like, I remember the most recent time I had come back after the elemental changes and damage changes and all that. The game felt so different. I had to refarm out a whole mess of stuff in order to be able to catch back up to what the damage output was correctly. And it felt weird because like a lot of the stuff that I had was still relevant, but it wasn't even close to relevant. It felt weird. It felt like something like playing in a World of Warcraft recent expansion, but you had taken a break for 2 seasons in that expansion. It didn't feel good or anything like that. Yeah, I made up for it. It was whatever. But it's just, I didn't realize how fatiguing all of that type of stuff was on me until I played a game like this, where I didn't have any of those pressures. I just had a good, endless grind with the same background experience as to the other games that kind of reference to the same genre. Let's put it that way. Because like that's what I liked World of Warcraft for the most in the beginning when I played, was the not needing to be pressured for getting gear caught up and everything like that. Yeah, I would agree, Doug. Since Whispers in the Wall and Netricel, the power creep has been hit pretty hard in Warframe. I would agree. A lot of the problem with those two is it's a lot of power creep hidden. It's a lot of power creep locked behind dailies, weeklies, predominantly weeklies, and that's the big problem. Is like you're always behind. You can never just grind it out and get it done like you can with this game. If I just wanted to grind out my fishing and just focus on that every day, all day long, I can do it. It's fine. I want that to be my grind. I can do that as my current grind for the game. And I think a lot of games are missing it, like are forgetting that that's very important to have in video games as a whole. Letting the player be able to do, like, you can give the player direction, but you really should invest in giving the player freedom of how they maneuver in that direction. And I think one of the biggest problems in a lot of games is they not only force your direction, but they force how you maneuver in that direction. So it's like every bit of your facet of your experience is just pushed into as hard as they can into one direction, and it leaves so little variation for the players to feel like they can have their own realm of discovery. And this is with many games, this isn't just Warframe or even World of Warcraft, but a lot of live service games in general, that they force the player into such a such a path that, like I said, they don't have the ability to find their own way about it and having that personal reward of finding out about it and really sharing with the community and everything on what they found. Instead, what we get are these very minute 1 or 2 different ways to get something done, and then outside of that, it really doesn't matter. And I think that's really weird when it comes to a lot of the games. Like, you have to allow some more freedom in some sort of facet. Like, I understand player friction and guidance and all that is important, but you're not even creating a hamster wheel or a maze at this point. You're more just creating a straight line, and I don't think that's really healthy for the genres. It's not what made the genres what they are and made them as popular and kept them alive through all the time. You know, just because that's all we have now and it's what we tolerate now for the grand majority of people doesn't mean that it's what it's liked. A lot of the things could be the fact that, you know, say like with RuneScape, a lot of people could have the issue with the graphics. If you don't like, if you are somebody that likes a nice graphical experience, RuneScape is terrible. There's many people out there that don't like World of Warcraft, even though it is a very beautiful game. They think it looks horrendous because it's not their type of art style. So when most of the majority of the genres of games, they all just move in the same direction, you don't know what's gonna work and what doesn't work because you're all just like, most people are just following the same cookie cutter design, scared to move out of it in a direction. And essentially all it does is create a world of compliance. It doesn't create knowing what the customer wants. It just creates conditioning the customer to be used to something. They're two completely different things. I wouldn't say change is so much the problem and what creates an issue in the game. Because as long as you keep what the player has worked for intact, you can really kind of change whatever you want in the game. Like sometimes you got to do number crunches and stuff like that, but as long as you keep the actual player, like the reward for their experience intact, you'll be able to have a vastly different feeling game without the player feeling like they just lost out on everything they worked for. Because like if everything still more or less works, like it does the job it needs to do in the same facet that it did, you kind of had to figure out a different way to do it, but you're already, because you had everything there, it was already fine. It just needed to be, say, like ordered in a different facet. Say like I guess an example with that would be like, say, like precepts for mods for Warframe Sentinels, to where you have to put them in an individualized order to make the procs happen at the right given moments. You know, if you just have to figure out how to rework that a little bit differently to make things work, then you leave the player with the ability to have the rediscovery feeling and reward without making them feel like the time they put into getting what they got became worthless. And that's kind of more what I was getting at when it came to the gaming industry itself, and how I felt about like with power creep and like just general FOMO progression. FOMO progression would probably be actually the best way to describe what I don't like about the gaming industry as a whole, because that's a very umbrella term, but everybody can get what is meant by that because everybody has experienced it. I think no matter the genre of video game you play, there's some line of FOMO progression if it's not a single player game, and that is just, it's an extremely annoying feeling. You shouldn't have to feel like you have to sacrifice your life to stay relevant in a video game. I think that's dumb. No hobby should be like that. No hobby should be like that. Ain't in no world where someone had like a toy train hobby. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it can get expensive. And the reason why I say like toy trains is if you get really detailed with those things, you can easily have like sets go for thousands and thousands of dollars. It's actually impressive how expensive that stuff gets. But in no world do you see people feel like they have to do it in order to stay relevant somewhere within their hobby, to continue enjoying it to the effectiveness that they enjoyed it before. Like, if you don't think Archon shards are a form of FOMO, then you haven't run out of materials for your helmet yet. And it creates a FOMO of you have to sit there and constantly farm materials instead of getting to enjoy the game. And if you miss out on your Archon shards so that you have more Archon shards to put into your other warframes and all that, you, like I said, you now have to keep going back and farming out more materials. And it creates a horrendous amount of burnout. And I even felt like that with World of Warcraft, having to log on every week to max out my conquest points so that I could get the PvP gear that I needed, you know. Or if it was like, you know, Mythic Plus, even, you have the tokens and everything, and they're gated every week and it's increased every week slowly. Oh, it's just so annoying. And then you had other games like Path of Exile where you have to, you're time gated on seasons and your whole experience essentially gets deleted because of a damn season. Tarkov turned me off with that as well. Like, I hate FOMO. It's fear of missing out and fear of all your work going to waste, which is like a form of missing out. And it's like, this was supposed to just be a hobby, wasn't it? Didn't gaming start out as a hobby? Why are we having all of these things that pressure us to have to play it like it's like we're taking care of a garden? Where if we miss watering a garden or trimming around and cleaning up the dead brush and everything, we could lose our whole damn garden and everything. Why does gaming feel like that with a lot of games? This makes no sense. It was just supposed to be a hobby. Like, I get you guys need to make money, but gaming got as popular as it has over and survived through the years to become this popular, not through FOMO, but through crafting good experiences. That's it. Just craft a good experience. Seasons, seasonal content, weekly lockouts, daily lockouts, all of this nonsense. World of Warcraft did start the weekly lockout many, many years ago, I will say, but having to get 40 people together, all you wanted to do was get together once a week anyways, because it was hard enough. So it felt reasonable to have weekly lockouts for raids because of already what the organization took in a proper facet for it to happen in the days before streaming and all of that. Now, I don't know so much about that. The way I saw Classic WoW min-maxed after content creation became a thing, that's an entire different story. That's an interesting experience to see that. I didn't play Classic WoW in the sense of the new Classic WoW, just because what a lot of like content creators and players turned it into was just this nonsense of min-maxing. It was just so dumb. And I would be fine with it if there was just like cool little things, but like the fact that a lot of it became requirements to play the damn game, I was like, oh no, not even in my realm of things. He's trying to do that. It's crazy to see the level that people took to what was one of the greatest casual games when it originally came out. I had never seen such a casual game turned to competitive and aggressive like that before. It's crazy. So one thing you appreciate about those sandbox games? I hear you there. I hear you there. I felt that way about like Gmod when it first came out in Half-Life 2 when it was a free mod.